Hey everyone, today I want to talk about why you're having a really hard time and why you're struggling cutting compulsions and avoidance behaviors, self-reassurance, which is difficult to catch, kind of the timeline which doesn't exist when it comes to, hey Nick, how long does it take to cut my compulsions? How long does it take to cut my avoidance behaviors? Of course, there's no answer to that, but I can usually say that it takes a lot longer than you think because a lot of things that people have normalized. One example is, hey, I was just curious, is usually very synonymous with, hey, look, I'm looking for reassurance and certainty, etc. So before I go any further, please reach out and subscribe. Phil@ocdrecovery.com. Let us know how you're doing. Please don't sit in silence. Our one-on-ones are very detailed. We take notes the whole time. We put you in the WhatsApp group. You have a support system. It's no BS, no reassurance. We kind of take that very, very, very seriously. Unfortunately, there's a lot of well-intentioned people that are trying to help people cut compulsions and avoidance behaviors, but because they've never had OCD themselves, it's so hard to catch all the ones they could be doing. So the first thing to remember is that when you're going through OCD and anxiety recovery, when you start to cut compulsions and avoidance behaviors and venting, most people have been giving into these behaviors in some sense for a very long time. So your body is not going to give those behaviors up easily. And it's not going to give them up without a fight. It's going to give a big backlash, whether it's an increased physical symptoms, whether it's new fears, whether it's extreme panic attacks, diarrhea, constipation, loss of appetite, irritability, mood swings, everything else in between. Coffee's amazing. Best invention ever. Next to cigars. Coffee and cigars and a light beer. I drink light beer. So when that happens, what happened to me? Let's actually rewind a little bit. I had different stages. I kind of dripped in with this. Some people cut all their compulsions very quickly. It's very rare. I did not cut my compulsions very quickly. I took a very long time to cut those compulsions. It was a very brutal journey for the most part. But when I did cut some of the ones that had been around, even before my OCD was chronic, which is a very interesting thing to talk about. So if you take my body dysmorphia and self-rejection compulsions and urges for certainty and perfection, that was there way before my OCD was chronic, and it became majorly chronic in 2019. That's, and then 6 months later, I was in the mental hospital. I would say some of those body dysmorphia ones and self-rejection compulsions and perfection and needing for certainty based around people thinking I was intelligent. I lied a lot about everything you could lie about. I would say those were there for the better part. I turned 35 this month. 19 to 20 years. So when I cut them, my body lost it physically. I felt absolutely insane. I felt like I was going crazy in every way. Constant diarrhea. I mean, I would literally go explosive diarrhea 5 times within 2 hours of waking up. It was impeccable. I could not believe my body could do it. I had extreme blurry vision to where I couldn't see if there was a sign across the street, couldn't read it. It was one big blur. Irritability and mood was off the charts. Anger was off the charts. Didn't sleep. Heart palpitations all throughout the night. Would fall back, have to get back on the horse. It wasn't a straight shot. So it wasn't like this, and it wasn't like this. It was, as we say, it was all over the place. It was just like if you take a line and you just bunch it together and then rip it apart, bunch it together, rip it apart. So again, most people, well, a lot of people are even resistant to saying certain things are compulsions and avoidance behaviors because they've been normalized by other people they've been working with. I'll give you an example. Compulsive exposure chasing. That's a really big one. So people come in every single day from all over the world and they say to me, hey, look, I'm doing these exposures. Let's say I have a fear of losing control. I'm taking a sharp object. I'm holding it up to my neck. We've been doing that 20, 30 minutes every single time, showing myself why it's not scary. I've been doing that for a year, every other week now, 25, 30 sessions here and there, and I'm still scared. But now they've become addicted to the relief that the exposure gives them. So the ERP process has now become compulsive. Anything can become compulsive for a human being, especially OCD and anxiety sufferers. And exposures are no different. So they were very compulsive for me. Take my body dysmorphia for an example. I got to a place to where I would I truly did believe, genuinely felt inspirationally real, that in order to accept myself, I need to never wear a shirt. So I'd walk my dogs in cold weather, be freezing outside without my shirt off. We'd go to a public park without a shirt off, and I felt really comfortable, which I'd never done, because remember, I lived by the beach for 10 years, or close to it in Florida, because no matter where you live in Florida, you're close to a beach to some degree. Even when you live in Orlando, you're still 40 minutes from the water, and which is in the middle of Central Florida. And never really took my shirt off on the beach. Petrified. So scared. Scared beyond belief. And I got really comfortable with taking my shirt off, but I still didn't accept myself. So I would chase that relief. And that's just one example of many. Sensory motor is another one. That was one of my other large fears. So let's take breathing. Let's say this is a straw. So people are like mimicking that maneuver. But after a while, you're going to breathe every day for the rest of your life anyway. So that exposure runs its course very quickly. And that's hard for people to accept because it seems correct. It also gives them relief. So this is why people struggle with addiction, besides the physiologic component with addiction. It brings the sense of, I just don't like my life, and this one thing gives me pleasure to some degree. So it usually takes usually 6 to 12 months for most people to even catch and really make a serious stab of cutting their compulsions. So people will ask me, how many people have you met out of all the hundreds and thousands of people I work with now, webinars, one-to-one coaching, all the Facebook group, all the YouTube moderating I do, just everything, all the people in the we get about 100, 1,400 people in our WhatsApp groups. 2 people, women, I can think of, one sensory motor breathing and one contamination, both from America, who cut their compulsions extremely quickly. But their physical symptoms were absolutely insane. I still remember the woman from Texas with contamination OCD. She said, my face feels like it's fluttering in the wind, like a pillow or a bed sheet, just, and that can really stop people from moving forward because it's really scary to feel those symptoms. So you will have an extreme withdrawal effect for the most part. I actually have never met someone who doesn't have that. So it is something that you need to be aware of when you're going throughout OCD recovery, is when you break those down, that is typically what happens in that manner. And I know it's a cliche statement, you've only given up when you stop trying. There is some serious truth and merit in that. You are going to mess up, and you're going to mess up a lot, but what's important is continuing over and over and over again as you transition to a place to where you're a lot more comfortable with having the urges. What you're really doing with compulsions and avoidance behavior is getting better at wearing the urges to look for certainty or to solve. And the better you get at wearing the urge, aka the confusion, the way that presents in the body, the better you are with not performing a compulsion or an avoidance behavior, even under the strongest urges. So that's really important to think about. So that's usually what to expect when you're cutting compulsions and avoidance behaviors. And it will not be easy. It will be extremely fucking difficult. And your physical symptoms, some people's go up really high, some people not so much. Mine went up extremely high because I already knew what all my beliefs were. I knew that people could accept themselves without being successful, without having money, without looking good. Because there's people that have all those together. They don't have any money. They're homeless. They're not good looking. They're not cleanly. And they're not panicked or depressed primarily. There's people that choose to live that life. So there's something that I was missing, and that was my belief system. This is one of the main reasons why you're having a hard time getting over and stopping compulsions, is because you haven't developed the skill yet. It is a skill like learning a new language, to not give in to those urges regardless of how strong they are. So thank you again. Really take that seriously. Phil at OCDrecover.com. Hope to hear from you soon. And as always, enjoy the rest of your day.